Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Seller Community Podcast. Doug and I are so grateful that you're here. Today's kind of going to be an overview of how 2023 went. I'm really excited. Doug, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Trish. Thank you for having me on the show.
I love that having you me. Yeah, you're welcome. I just love the fact that we both wore like festive headgear.
Yes, it is the holidays. It's our 2023 recap on the Seller Community Podcast brought to you by List Perfectly and Listing Party.
Yes,
And
it is. I wanted to call
our
it the holiday extravaganza, but he overrode me.
that's the holiday extravaganza. Paul Lynn and Vincent Price still could not be here.
Such a
So you're
shame.
stuck with Trish and Doug, our 2023 recap, as they say, and then
Exactly.
preview of what's to come in 2024, Trish.
I'm very excited about that. But before we get going about that, Doug, I pulled some of the stats, and I know the listeners are going to be shocked to hear this, but I do not think you give yourself enough credit sometimes about how well you have done with this. And so I pulled some stats, and I just would like for everybody to know. You probably know them because they're your stats, but I'm going to go over them anyways. Um, right now you're at about 80,000 downloads of all time. Um,
Yes.
we're we're about to get ready to launch season 4, which is going to be 2024, season 4. That's very exciting. I'm very excited because I'll be there for a whole year. So I
That's right.
really am yeah, I'm excited about that actually. So you have 148 total episodes. You're This is amazing to me. You're in the top 10% of all global podcasts based on weekly downloads.
Yes. Yeah, that is a big stat, Trish. I'm very proud of
Yeah,
that.
that's a huge stat. You should be. It's really good.
Yeah.
And I just want to go over some of the top 10 episodes of 2023. And for me, for downloads, top 10
Yeah.
that were downloaded over this past year. And for me, it makes perfect sense. The first couple, even the first three, really, first four, really make sense to me because um, they are really about reselling,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think that that is something that I really look forward to this coming year talking about with you is really reselling and the nitty and gritty about reselling itself.
Yeah. No, yeah, it is very interesting. I mean, we tell a lot of seller stories, but we have had some episodes this year in particular that are very reselling resource oriented. And I think, that's something we definitely have to take a look into.
So, first one is start selling on eBay and make more money in 2023. It was episode 6. So if anyone
Yeah.
hasn't heard that, you could go listen, see what you think. Did all the predictions for 2023 come true? Whatever was
Hmm.
said about what you should be doing, was it true? We will exactly. That will definitely be something we'll discuss in early 2024, and I look forward to that. Episode 4, eBay eBay beyond the basics in 2023. Again, be interesting to listen to it and see if it's, held up all true. And then this is neat. This was American Arbitrage, but start selling cards in 2023 with American Arbitrage. So he's great. Carrie, he's great. If you
Yeah.
guys don't follow him, he's awesome. He's a fun guy. He puts out fun content. He does a lot inside thrift stores about buy this, don't buy that. He shows things about, so he's fun. But I really, up until this last year, never thought about cards at all.
Yeah, cards I think really exploded this year. They're still big. They're getting bigger. There's different marketplaces, all kinds of crazy stuff. Big on eBay.
Yeah, I
And
mean, they
Carrie
they
is
opened
big
the
into
vault.
cards. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
The
and
card
eBay
vault.
opened, yeah, the vault, which is, you can send your cards there and they hold them, and you can sell them. You can almost like day trading a little. You can do
Yep.
certain things with them, but it's really an interesting thing that eBay found the value in it that they,
Yeah.
invested in a building. Yeah,
And not many
exactly.
people know this. It's not many people know this. It is just like the vault in Harry Potter guarded by goblins. They're
I now
e-goblins.
I now need to go to eBay Goblins.
Sea
I
goblins, yeah.
I now need to go there.
Yeah,
Um,
vicious little creatures, actually.
and so the 5th most downloaded episode of the year, Danna Crawford, the Power Selling Mom's Reselling
There
Journey.
you go. No, what?
Good for her.
Please, everybody.
Ding,
Please. Yeah, no, I
ding.
know. So, yeah, Dana came
I
on.
feel like she needs a pom-pom.
Yeah, we're shaking our pom-poms if you can't see. Yeah, Dana came on, and Dana was a host for part of the year, a big part of the year. We had some fun, and then she has, launched her own podcast, the
Yeah,
Power
which is
Selling
great.
Podcast. Yeah, which is great too, and, we support her, she supports us, and there's more coming around
Yeah.
that topic,
We
actually.
we have secrets coming about that topic, so we
Right.
look forward to talking about that. And then yeah, it has to do with UFOs.
Yes.
And Mm. And then,
Mm,
lifetime passive income with List Perfectly's referral program. That's number 6. That is great, and I hope and I would encourage anyone who, uses List Perfectly, they should absolutely sign up for the referral program. There's no downside.
yeah,
It's an absolutely a great thing. It's a wonderful product, and all you're doing is saying to other resellers, "This is a great product. Try it out." So it's a great program. You should look into it. Next is why I should price my items higher in 2023. I definitely agree with that. I think I might have been on that episode actually, but I think that was a great thing. I think that sometimes we value, perceived value is real
yeah.
and what you should be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, when I first started selling, and again, I'm not a huge seller, I'm like a what 3-figure mastermind, but I fell into that fear is like, "Oh, it doesn't sell," you freak out and you lower the price, and it's like you talk about in the episode is like, yeah, it's a business thing is like you wanna wait for the right person to find your stuff and who will pay for it, and a great example is the famous Kim Rose Duran Duran shirt story. We told her
I don't
the right
I don't
person will buy that shirt.
Yeah, and did they?
They did because I told her what keywords she needed to use,
Good.
was that was a tour shirt from Duran Duran's 1983 to '84 Sing Blue Silver tour, or the Seven and the Ragged Tiger album, which actually one of the singles from there, The Reflex, was their first number 1 hit in the US,
Which
I
was?
think. The Reflex. Flack, flack, flack,
Oh.
flack, flack.
Oh,
We've
yeah,
gone
yeah, yeah,
too
yeah, yeah.
far this time, but I'm
So
dancing. He's got that little warble, dancing on the Valentine.
so
Besides, they
I
know it's Christmas.
oh, Lord. So I
One of
am
the
a
great,
huge James Bond fan, so every time I think of Duran Duran, all I think of is
the greatest Duran Duran theme song of all time, "A View to a Kill."
"A View to a
Not,
Kill." You do
not the
not mean
greatest
it is
Duran
the
Duran movie.
no. Actually,
It
the
is the
movie's so
greatest
bad
Duran Duran. It's a terrible
the
movie.
movie's so bad, it's good.
Well, yes, but
I mean, it's
obviously
so
Roger
bad. If
Moore,
you guys have not yes, and
Christopher
Christopher
Walken's the
Walken,
villain
yep,
with Grace
great
Jones.
Grace Jones, it's awesome. And who's the girl?
It is, I see her face,
Oh, me too.
kind of an
It'll come to
80s
me.
is
Yeah, yeah,
not,
yeah.
not, I don't know, we'll figure it out, but it is the
Okay.
greatest James Bond theme of all time. But the
Oh, I
greatest James
disagree.
Bond movie is Goldfinger,
I
not Diamonds
disagree
Are.
about I disagree with both of these, but that's okay. We can disagree and I still like you, so it's okay. Um,
Diamonds Are Forever.
forever. Okay, so the next best downloaded thing of 2023, Abel's Treasures, a resilient and tenacious risk taker.
Yeah. No,
Now,
Abel's a cool guy.
yeah, tell me.
Well, so he's a cool guy, he's got a great approach, very business-minded approach, but was great what stood out for me besides great conversation, cool guy, we know him, He
Yeah,
was
he's great.
very concise in his answers. So he's
Really.
like, "You're down. So tell us your seller story." And then he's very, but it's and I think that applies to his business as well. It's very planned out, very concise, very, organized.
Good for him. And then the
Yes.
number 10, don't do this with Liz perfectly. I love a don't do this story.
Let me tell you something. Yeah, don't do this.
Don't
So,
do. Yes.
you know how I hate to toot my own horn,
Do
but
you?
that was a YouTube, live that I did with the fabulous Patrick Ullman, List Perfectly's director of innovation, and it's the number 1 live on List Perfectly of all time, and obviously a very highly ranked podcast episode as well. I think it's the topic, I think it's the spin, and I think it's that the ladies want to hear Patrick's silky toned voice.
Do you think that's it?
I
Especially
think that.
since his name is not in the title. They don't even know he's on the podcast.
Yeah, we didn't wanna crash the servers,
I understand because
so
Patrick
we
would
wanted
have
to
that
throw
ability.
some of the lady fans off.
Like, the lady
We
fans.
That's
You
right.
know, guys, we can overthrow Doug. It could happen.
It
We do
won't happen.
not need.
Nobody would be
So,
Trish, you do
yeah,
not need women fainting in the streets, policemen turning in their badges. A revolt of that magnitude would be unmanageable. But let's go back because I can see the list and you skipped over a
what did I
standout
skip over?
episode for me.
I did number 5. I did not do that on purpose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 6. The
Season season 3, episode 2, Trish Glenn at Super Sale Trish,
Oh, yeah, I skipped
Bostonian,
myself on
kind, and
purpose.
adventurous. But it's funny
I
because at that up to that point, 3 seasons in, you'd been on the show many times technically, but we'd never done an episode where you told the Trish story, and being
Trish story. Here
Boston-ish
it is. Here it is in a nutshell,
part of
right?
your story.
Here it is in a nutshell. Born, born, have a kid, buy a consignment business, be a complete and utter failure, start an eBay business to fix it.
Do well,
That's it.
list
That's the whole
perfectly,
story.
met
Yeah.
Doug. It's all
Well, it was
uphill
actually
from there.
Met Doug, then List Perfectly, if we're
Okay,
gonna be
there we
technical.
go. Okay.
But yeah, it's not a very exciting story, and I love that I wrote Boston-ish, Boston
Bostonian
adjacent. Boston,
Bostonian-ish.
yeah,
Ish.
Bostonian-ish. Exactly.
Well, let me
Okay.
chime in for a bit, Trish.
Of
So
course, my
first of all,
friend.
it's gonna be 50 episodes by the end of the year. We've got a couple more coming because we're at the end of the year. Um, this year, a lot of success and a lot of growth this year. We, um, we had technically our most growth this year, our biggest episodes into the overall metrics, I would
Yep,
say.
great.
And then,
Okay.
we did have some host changes this year, which everybody brought a special something, like, Clara for a while, then Dana for a
Yep,
while, and then,
yep,
Clara focused more on lives and things like that, and then Dana launched her podcast, and you came in, but, obviously way back, we started with Liz, and,
yep.
but, you know, I think a big part of it is and again, everybody was great, but a big part of it is rapport. You and I have such a great rapport. We know each other so well, and I think that's a big part of it. We play off each other. We know each other's jokes. We know each other's personalities. We complete each other's sandwiches, and we
I love
we just have. I think that's important. We have a really good rapport, and I love working with you. I love doing events with you, and I love doing this with you. So thank you so much, Trish.
You're welcome, Doug. I feel the same. I do. You and I amuse each other, so
That's
that's always good. I mean, because
I
when
always
somebody doesn't
say,
get
if you can't amuse somebody else, amuse yourself.
it's true, but If you're with somebody and they don't get your jokes, it's not fun, man.
Exactly, exactly.
So, I
And no,
am happy to
really
be here, and I'm really looking forward to 2024. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you and I can do in a year.
so, but wait, couple more things, and then we'll get
Okay.
into that. So, this is kind of my 2023 overview.
Okay.
Uh, we had a lot of big names on the show for the first time. We did a lot of events. We had a lot of events coverage. We did a lot from events. Um, we had Camp LP, thanks to Trish.
We
Posh
did, we
Fest,
did.
eBay Open, obviously Boss Reseller Remix, the big rock show in Vegas every year. Um, and again, so I'm gonna just mention some names and some standout episodes for me, and then one sec. We had sorry, let me recover here. Obviously, a standout was when you came on to tell your story, season 3, episode 5. I loved having Tucker's Treasures on with his dad. That was great. He's the little, I think at this
Yeah.
time, yeah, I think at the time he was 12. Now I think he's 35. The little
I
intro.
think
No,
he
he's
was younger.
yeah, he's still young, but he's growing, really growing his
Yeah.
business, and just super interesting story. Um, March Cadena, the Spanish episode that Clara did, that was a big one.
Yeah, that was
Season
really
3.
fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
episode 36, and that might be a hint of things to come.
Let's hope, let's hope.
You never know with the old List Perfectly. And then again, some fun episodes, big names. You mentioned American Arbitrage. We had Kevin Commonwealth Picker on for the first time. Scott Ching was on technically a couple times. We've had a couple where
Yeah,
we've interviewed people at events. Ginger Marvin, they were on. They were great. We met them face to face in Colorado and then had
we
them
did.
on
We
the
had fun with
show.
them.
Yeah, they're very cool and very liked and influential in the seller community. We had Hustle Ken the Hustle Beyond. Obviously, he was on a couple episodes, but he came on and then he's done some stuff with us. And then some eBay legends, Stephanie Inge, season 3, episode 37, and then the fantastic eBetsy, season 3, episode 38. That was a fun one. We talked a little bit about eBay. um, Interesting standouts were for me were Snap Crackle Posh, Keith Krausen. Very interesting story, very motivating, great approach to customer service. And then, of course, how can I not mention our posh girlfriends? It's Boink and Tiffy Pie.
You
And out.
you just like to say it's Boink and Tiffy Pie. I swear to God, half the fun for you is their names.
I can't help it. I mean, that's what I call them to their faces too. I have no
It
idea
is,
what
it
their
is.
real names are. I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm
And
pretty sure
then,
it's Tiffy Pies is Tiffany.
oh, I don't have room for multiple Tiffany's, like somebody
Oh,
seizes a
yes.
name. Yeah.
Only have
Um,
one Tiffany.
and then I gotta say, last week I had I so when we were at Boss Reseller Remix, I sat down with my old buddy Griff
It
of
was a
eBay.
great podcast.
It was
I
fun,
mean,
it
it
was cute.
really was. He is a really interesting guy. He is funny.
Yeah.
He comes across a little like, "I don't care, get out of my way." And
Yeah,
and I love that about him. And he is a hoot, and he's so smart. He knows
yeah.
things, like, he is just great, and he pulls out information, and I'm like, "Where'd you get that from?" He's awesome, and he's fun.
Is it wicked smart?
He is wicked smart.
So, yeah, no, we had a great chat and I've had a lot of fun with Griff, but, one of my favorite Griff memories is I think it was eBay Open 2018, and he at some point had knee surgery. I don't remember if it's both knees or what, but at some point he was in one of those little, scooter things,
Okay.
and he's scootering through, and Alan and I used to work with Alan in eBay. We're walking along and he's like, "Hey, come here." And we're like, "What's up, Griff?" He goes, "Help me get on the elevator because I got to go downstairs." So we're helping him get on the elevator, but he's stuck and the doors keep closing. So it's like, zzz, clunk, zzz, clunk, and we're laughing, but we finally got him on the
Can
elevator
I
in
just
his
say,
scooter.
if I'm ever incapacitated and I need help getting on the elevator, you are not the guy I'm asking,
Yeah,
okay?
that's I
Because
don't blame you.
I am sure there was a lot more clunk, clunk than there needed to be because you
I don't
thought it
know,
was
Griff.
hysterical.
Yeah. I don't know, Griff must be something wrong with the elevator.
Exactly.
And
My
then,
favorite story about Griff is I was at eBay headquarters and he heard my voice and comes out and he's like, "Where you from?" And then proceeded to bring me in his office and pull up photos from Google Photos from the '60s in Boston. He lived there. He was showing me all this stuff. It was awesome and stuff I hadn't seen since I was a kid. We had a double-decker, um, highway, one way in Boston and then the other way,
yeah,
you'd be on the bottom on the way out. But I
yeah.
mean, that's been gone for years and years. And so, like, he had all these photos of it. It was awesome.
Um, but he knew you before that. It's just, he
He knew me, but not really. I mean, I had met him, but I don't think yet, you know, he's met a million fellas. He didn't know who I was really.
but never
I
a
wasn't
fellow like
insulted.
you.
I wasn't insulted. I just meant he was like, "Wait, where are you from?"
Yeah, yeah. But that no, that was cool. I was there to kind of witness that. So
Yeah.
Trish, I want
Yeah.
you so talk about from Trish's perspective, how's it been for you being on the podcast? Do you have any favorite moments that stand out? And then obvious glaring question that everybody wants to know, what it's like working so closely with me.
Well, since I live in Massachusetts and you live in California, closely is a relative thing.
Yeah, virtually closely.
Virtually close. You know what? It's been great. You and I were friendly before I started working at LP. I have known you through the seller community, eBay seller community. And Diane and I, my best friend Diane Lasan and I ran or still run a eBay meetup in Boston. So Doug had been there. So, I really enjoyed you before that. And then when I came working, I got a job here and we started working together, we just really hit it off and we have a good time. And so when the opportunity came to be your co-host, I was really thrilled. And I didn't know, to be quite honest with you, if I could do this. I've never done this before. I don't know. I do have the personality where I think I can do anything till it's proven I can't.
Well,
Not
I mean,
that I
that's not
think I
for
can.
everybody.
I mean, like, I will try anything. That's what I mean, really. I'll
We did
try anything. Um,
twice actually.
yeah. So
Um,
so for me, it was great, and I've enjoyed a lot of things. One of the things I've really enjoyed is that you and I play off of each other well, and we'll write questions and we will go into an interview, and in the middle of it just changes,
yeah.
and we just have this ability to be able to just roll with it and keep going. Like, I never feel like other people would know, well, that isn't what was supposed to just happen. You know what I mean? And I have really enjoyed that. So it's been fun. I've had a really good time. And so thank you. And I have a lot of ideas that I would like to bring to the table. I haven't really brought anything to the table as of yet, and I'm not complaining. I just mean, you know,
Yeah.
we I
No.
this was yeah. So, I do have, and one of them is, as I kind of mentioned before, is I really would like to have a little bit more of reselling.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how-tos and why and things like that.
Yeah. Well, let me just say real quick before we do get into that, because then we'll move into our 2024 preview.
Yeah.
Couple things. I know I tell every host, but that they're the only one I'd want to do this with, but I mean it with
Yeah.
you, Trish.
Okay, thanks.
No,
Until you
no,
get a
I
new
haven't.
one. Until I'm gone in
I
a
haven't.
year, you have a new one.
I haven't told everybody that. But no,
Oh,
you're the only co-host I want, and you
thank
are my
you,
favorite.
Dougie.
And like I
Thank
said,
you.
everybody brought a unique something to the table, but I think that obviously you're well known in the seller community, great personality, great resource. And this isn't for everybody. It's not as easy. It's not as easy as it looks, and it's not for everybody. Not everybody likes it. Not everybody likes to go live, but we love a mic and a camera,
Mm,
apparently.
give me a
And
mic,
it,
I'm good to go.
and I do have to say, here's an interesting stat for you listeners.
Okay.
So behind the scenes. So we do the script in like a Google Doc so we can both look at it and look at it live. And some people have liked to print it out and but sometimes you do have to pivot. So Trish and I have it open live and we can type each other quick notes and change things. And sometimes we add questions, sometimes we delete questions. The only person who's ever called us out more than once is Katie Zilverberg.
What would
She'll
you
be like,
mean?
she'll say, that question wasn't on the original list. Or
Oh, because we share it with
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
I've
they see
never
the
thought of
questions
that.
beforehand. Yeah, and she's like, "That's a new question. You guys, that question wasn't on the original list." Yeah, we're mixing it up,
Katie, Katie, we're keeping you on your toes, man.
right? And Vicky Zilverberg, I have to double check on this, but she claims she reads every single transcript, or she used to.
Okay,
Maybe not now. Things have changed.
we we should put something in here in the transcript. We should say something just for Vicky and
We
see
just
if
did.
she calls us.
We just did, and see if she gives us a thumbs up.
Okay,
All right,
deal.
so let's see what else. Let's look at the list here. Um, we covered, yeah, we talked about the stats. We're doing well, but we want to you know, again, so 4 episodes in, new host, new it. No, you're not new, but we're at a pivot point. I mean, I was even thinking of maybe getting a new theme song. I don't know. Maybe new
Yeah,
theme song, but
I
you
think
have
that's a
some great
great idea.
ideas, and there's a lot we've talked about doing, and so obviously let's preview 2024 and talk about some of the stuff that we've talked about doing and talk about some of your ideas.
I mean, I personally would like to bring a little bit more reselling to the seller community podcast. I one of the things that I think is missing in the community in general um is more reseller business related stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
let's drill down on what we should be doing and why it's helpful and and not everybody does it the same way. So let's figure out why and those things cuz I am under the impression not the impression. I am under the that anyone can do this.
Mm,
There is almost a zero entry barrier to reselling. Reselling is about as a democratic thing as there can be because anyone can start with just a phone. You can go to the library and print out a label. You can go to USPS and print out a label. You can start this with basically zero into it.
yeah.
I think most people have things in their house that they could get rid of. So I'd like to talk about some of that stuff because I think that reselling is an opportunity for everybody.
Well, and just like you said, I totally agree. And then the resources are out there. There's resources all over, plenty of sellers willing to help on social media. And then obviously all the resources that we have at List Perfectly, the
Right. And so
podcast.
what I would love the podcast to like point out some of those, like, did you know
Yeah.
this was there? Go look at this, and this is what will help you do things. Yeah.
Yeah. And then too, just look at like you said, very low barrier to entry. Anybody can do it, but you have to commit to learning,
Uh-huh.
being pivoting, and then
Hmm.
spending that time. And honestly, we always say it, thinking of yourself as a business at any level. But what I really want to
Yep.
emphasize is all the different sellers we know and all the different backgrounds. And it's so interesting
Oh,
because
yeah.
off the top of my head, I know a dude who was a huge pro skateboarder and now he sells. We know a dude who used to be a professional wrestler and now he sells. And that's just a couple.
Yeah. I mean, a lawyer, no education. I mean, look, I don't have an education. Like, I mean, not really. Um, I certainly don't have a business education. I mean, I was in construction,
You're
I did
street
OSHA
smart, though. You you're street smart.
I'm street smart. No, I mean, I have I have some education as in like I did OSHA regulations, but what I mean is you don't need a business anything to get into this. This is, and everyone you meet comes from somewhere. I mean, I don't think there's anyone who's like, I'm going to be a reseller. Like that's how they start out. You end up here somehow.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it's becoming more and more of a legitimate, though, career goal, though, especially now
Yeah.
the past few years, especially with, and for me, it's and don't get me started, Trish, I can't believe you brought this up. Social commerce social
Yeah.
commerce, social media coming up, and that blend of the 2, and then just the generation coming up that is the digital generation, as you'd say, that grew up with this
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
Because
It's
we were
going to
like
complete.
we could do a whole episode of when we were kids. We used to have
A,
to get up
A,
and change
A,
the channel.
B. Oh, yeah. You definitely had to do that. But just so I can remember first texting A, B, C,
Yeah.
like you'd have to hit the same took you
It'd
forever to get a
be like a
two-word text
child
out.
sent the text. No, I remember, cell phones had been out for a while, and it went from, like, the World War II Zach Saved by the Bell phones where you call in the CB, and then the littler one, though, that you only used in case of emergency because it would be, like, emergency, because 'cause it'd be, like, $50 for the
I
call.
was gonna say for a
And then
phone
I
call.
had to have the flip phone because it was like Star Trek, and
Yeah,
then I remember when my wife and I had to have the walkie-talkie phones, which we literally never used, but then I remember, specifically the first time I saw a smartphone, it was the first iPhone, and it was actually, with the Duran Duran tribute band Rio. We were playing the San Diego Fair, and we were standing waiting to get back to the backstage area, very privileged, Trish, VIPs only,
sorry, I'll try
and,
to be impressed.
I would try to get you in, but I can't make any promises. But I remember
Okay.
standing there with our singer before we had the musical differences and I left the band, and he had an iPhone, and I remember him being like, "You gotta get a smartphone, man. Everybody's gotta get them." And it
I know.
changed, I mean, it changed e-commerce.
It did. It totally changed, but I don't have any distinct memory of going from my pink Razor phone to an iPhone. I mean, it happened, but I don't remember
Yeah.
it being a big deal. Like, I don't remember what I do remember being a big deal was getting rid of my beeper for the first time when I got a phone.
Yeah. You kids, you can geolocate each other now. First of all,
Yeah,
we used to have to leave a message at home, and you would check your messages when you're going out, and then you get the beeper, you had to get it to a phone and
yeah.
call back. But then you probably remember when you upgraded your beeper to the beeper with voicemail?
Yes, that was very exciting. You would call in and you would get to hear a message, but when I was a kid, what I can remember is making a collect call and saying to my mom, "We're ready to be picked up." And then
Yeah, right.
who's you would be like, "Say your name now. We're ready to be picked up."
Click. Yep. It's like you're calling from prison.
Exactly. And we
Well,
did
my
that for
big
a long time.
yeah, then they were fooled every time, the operators. But
So
I
here, let
remember
me
my
just say this. This is turned in from the 2023 look back show to the 1980s.
well, 90s and but let me just
Yeah,
and then we'll move on, I promise. But
I know, I'm just being funny.
my big jump in cell phones is I went from the flip phone, the ABCDDD, and then I
Yeah,
got this phone that slid up, and you slid it up, and it had, like, the total QWERTY keyboard,
yeah,
like the real keyboard to text,
yep,
because it was designed for texting, and then after I
yep.
got it, I found out that, and I loved that phone, I was so excited. It would slide
Wasn't it
up and
called a sidekick?
I something, but I found out that it was, designed to be marketed to teenage girls,
I knew that. I had
and
a
I loved
BlackBerry.
it.
So I went you were right. I'm glad you just said that. I went from the Razor phone to a BlackBerry.
I had a
And
BlackBerry Organizer.
I liked the BlackBerry because you had the same full. ability to text. It had all the buttons. I liked that. But I remember, I think it was called a sidekick. I don't know why I remember that.
Believe so, and I think it was based on the BlackBerry design, but again, marketed
For
to,
teenage girls.
teenage girls, yeah,
It
and it
makes
wasn't
perfect
pink.
sense that it would makes perfect sense that you would have liked it.
It's true. It was blue, actually. I loved that phone. But anyway, so, yeah,
Anyways,
you're talking
back to
about topics.
2023.
Back to
Yeah, I'd like to
2024
yeah,
preview. I think, yeah, we do
right.
need to expand the topics. We will do that. Trish and I have talked about doing some, episodes. We did one a bit back on sell-through rate.
Yeah. I thought that that was really an interesting, of course, it's not in the top 10, so I could be completely wrong about this. Um,
Well, it's fine, Trish. Yeah,
yeah,
next
I
year we'll
know,
be like, year. We'll be like, in a year. "What the hell were you thinking, Trish?"
I know. No one wants to talk about reselling. That could
But
happen
what's some of the other stuff we are looking to add as soon as January?
as soon as January.
Some
I just went to go put
new
my glasses
segments.
on and I oh, yeah, some new segments. We'd like to do, like, some shorter segments, so maybe have like, not just one thing per episode. So maybe have, like, a few little segments and then a longer segment for the regular, like, reseller stories, the stuff we're already kind of doing. Um and then we'd also like to have like seller shout outs. So that week, if somebody does something interesting on in the community, or if somebody has a really great sale, or if somebody in listing patty has done something fun, let's talk like just a little shout out, like good for you. Let's go see it here, whatever.
Yeah, seller shout outs we'll do, and then we'll tag you in the, in the episode, and we'll tag you in, the social posts that we use to promote the episode, and then obviously we would hope that you would share it as well in a
Obviously.
subtle thank you for the shout out itself. And
I
then,
love Dr. A
what?
subtle thank you. Oh,
Yeah,
that was funny.
a virtually subtle,
Yeah.
kind of like Trish and I are virtually close.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
with seller news, high level, not like every piece of news, but high level stuff. I think it would be good to kind of become a pseudo news resource again.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I do think that there used to be some podcasts who really kind of focused on that, and they
Yeah.
seem to have gone to the wayside. And I think it's a little lacking in our community.
Yeah, yeah. Um, then we've talked about doing some listing party tie-ins, so that's interesting. So keep an eye out there for some
So I just want to
podcasts.
say, if you are not a List Perfectly customer, you might not know what Listing Patty is. And so Listing Patty is a community-based website that List Perfectly, has, and so they have these things called listing patties. I do one every morning. It's a mastermind call, and it's very business so they're called listing patties, but they're not patties every day. I mean, a lot of them are very structured and a very, "Let's talk about business, let's figure out whatever." And so, there's mastermind, there's 101s, there's topic-based, but then there's fun ones too. So if anyone doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, yeah. And we talked about something too about those resources that are out there. And this is something that Griff talked about in the podcast interview we did with him last week. He's like, the eBay for Business podcast, probably the biggest. It's hard to say, probably the biggest seller podcast out there. But he said, "Hey, there's a lot of other podcasts out there, and we've also made some podcast friends this year. Obviously, there's
Yeah,
the eBay for Business podcast with Griff. There's Dana's Power Selling Mom podcast. There's the brand new Seller Club podcast with Anna Packer, Ken the Hustle Bee, and Glenn Hustler Hacks.
yep,
So that's a great resource. There's we
arc,
our friend yeah, Arc Thrift with Maggie
yep,
Civic, that's a great resource. There's, Let's Do Lunch, and there's others out there, but there's a
consignment
bunch of
chats. They
choices
have
behind
podcasts, I'm
chats.
sorry.
Well, they have no, it's interesting you should mention that. They do have a podcast, Trish, we were just on there a couple weeks ago, and
That's
they
what I thought,
have,
but I didn't know if it was just a video. I get very confused. I'm gonna be completely honest. I get very confused about some people call podcasts their video thing, and then some people don't, and so I get
Yeah.
confused, like, how they're qualified or you know what I mean, sometimes, so I apologize.
Thank you for asking, Trish. So
You're welcome.
traditionally, so podcasts started, they were mostly audio, then people started doing video podcasts, and now it's
Right.
kind of blended together, and then
Yeah.
and YouTube has a podcast section now. So that's like Kat the
Oh,
Nurse
okay.
Flipper considers her video podcast a podcast, which is fine
Yeah.
now. It's in the parlance of the times, as we would say,
Is it?
Trish.
I think I'm behind the times there, Doug.
Yes, well, it takes longer to get out to the East Coast from the
Yes,
West.
we're a little backwards up here.
It takes 3 extra hours, actually. But, yeah, there are video and audio podcasts and just across the board, and that's the thing we always say. Again, resources are out there. We are just one, obviously your favorite and the best, Trish and Doug, the
Obviously.
Trish and Doug Show. And then you can also catch us on regularly on the, List Perfectly YouTube,
Yeah.
youtube.com/list perfectly YT. So we do, our video episodes are on there. So you can see our little talking heads. And then we do a monthly recap where we go through the most recent episodes. And we're going to be doing some more stuff. Some of it's still in the
Yeah.
planning, but Trish in particular has talked about doing more video, doing more social stuff. So I think you'll see a lot more of that next year as well.
I'm gonna work them to the bone, boys and girls.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. All right. And then, we have also talked about doing more event tie-in stuff where maybe we drop
Yeah,
in live or we drop in and, cover some stuff virtually and do whether that be in listing party or whether that actually be live, out on YouTube or something like that.
or maybe both. I mean, I mean, I think that that would be fun. I do think some of these events, some people are never gonna go, whether it's because they have small children or they have a full-time job and they're not at the point yet where they're gonna go, but they're fun and you learn a lot. And so I would love to bring that a little bit more to the audience.
And it's great to get together with people that you know, and then, because I have sellers and friends, like, look at Trish. I've known many years from the seller community. Trish is one of my best friends right now,
Thank
just
you.
like
Right
today.
now. It could
Um,
change tomorrow.
no, I'm very, very, very fickle.
I
And
know. So if I say the
very
wrong
picky,
thing, I'm out of here.
very fickle and picky. Just look at all
Ve
the hosts I've gone through. I'm like the Spinal Tap of podcasts.
You are picky.
Maybe
I
it's
don't know if it's
me.
both.
Maybe Trish will leave in a couple weeks.
Am I the drama?
Don't make me cry. Trish, dare
Okay.
we hint at the SCN, the Seller Community Network?
I think you should hint away, my friend. I mean, this is all you. You've had this idea for a long time. I um I probably have pushed it a little bit lately because I think it's a great idea, but this is all you. And I think it's a great idea. So please, yeah,
Thanks,
hint away.
Trish. No,
You're
but you've
welcome.
been great in kind of expanding the concept of it. So, and we've talked about this. So, the Seller Community Network is going to be something that comes from List Perfectly, and it's going to be shockingly a network. It's going to be a network of sellers, resources, stuff from List Perfectly that's seller resource oriented, other sellers podcasts, other sellers YouTube channels, and we're developing this type of thing, and we're all gonna kind of grow together, and there'll be some educational components to it as well, and I think maybe some podcasts in Espanol.
Yes, let's
Who
hope.
knows?
That is I am listen, I don't speak Spanish, I don't understand Spanish, but I think it's wonderful. And I have witnessed Clara y- I assume everyone knows who I'm talking about, but the co-CEO of List Perfectly, whose
Yeah.
native language is Spanish. and I have witnessed her speaking to people about Liz Perfectly. I have no idea what the hell she's saying, and it's so infectious. It is just so fun. And I really that is something that isn't in the community. I think it would be great.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just a tease, Trish. I don't like to open the kimono too much, just show a little shoulder
Um,
like this and
okay.
leave you wanting more,
Leave
Trish.
leave your shoulders in, Doug. It's good.
Lovely
No one needs
soul.
to see the Doug shoulder.
Hey,
Hey, I just
oh,
love that you go to the kimono. Like the
have you worn a kimono? They're very, very comfortable, Trish.
I have to be honest, I have never worn a kimono.
And let's be honest, too, you're really not shocked I went to kimono.
I know. I got a
It's
big kick
lovely
out of it,
silk,
actually.
light
I
silk kimono.
I am thoroughly amused by you, Douglas. It continues on a daily basis, and the kimono now will that will be something I will treasure.
And I know, and this was many, many moons ago, but I have dressed as a geisha girl.
Yep.
Again, again, Trish Glenn is speechless.
Speechless. I have lots of things to say that I will not say in this forum. Hey
But
now.
anyway, hey now. But
Hey now.
anyway, all right. Well, as always, this was a lot of fun. It's been a
It was.
great 2023 with Trish. We've had a lot of adventures. Some you've heard about in our various episodes. A lot more adventures to come, on the podcast,
Exactly.
at events, on our lives, and across the country. We're literally,
Really,
literally we're literally as far apart as you can be.
it's
But
very true.
it's been great. Thank you so much, Trish. Thanks for being you. Thanks for stepping into the co-host spot of the Seller Community Podcast. Thanks for pushing me. Thanks for helping it grow. And I'm very much looking forward to 2024 with you. And again, my favorite co-host, I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else, ladies and
Well,
gentlemen.
Doug, I appreciate you saying that, and I feel the same way. And also, I really look forward to seeing what we can do in 2024. I think it'll be fun. And I hope everyone will come along with a ride for us. It's going to be great. And I think, and another thing is we're open. We're open to ideas, suggestions. Please,
Yeah,
let
and,
us know.
go to thesellercommunitypodcast.com. There's a link there that says contact. You click that, there's a form there. You can give us feedback. You can make suggestions. If you think you should be on the show, let us know. You can also
Yeah,
leave us reviews at Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And, frankly, we have had, um, multiple episode guests. Like, I would never tell her this, and we'll see if she listens. I think Teresa Cox is the top guest that's
really.
been on, not necessarily by herself in panels and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point you get a seller community podcast kimono for being on a certain number of times. Kimono my podcast.
Kimono, my
Yes. Write that down, Trish.
I don't have to write it down. It is forever, recorded for history now. Kimono, my
So many,
podcast.
so many
Oh,
things.
thank you so much, Doug. It's been a great year. Thank you for everything, especially your friendship. I appreciate it.
Oh,
And I look forward to 2024.
all right, it's gonna rock. So thanks everybody for listening. Thanks everybody for watching. Please keep doing it. Tell your friends, and they'll tell two friends, and so on and so on and so on. But we'll be here. I'll be here. Trish will be here. Shockingly, my dogs Moose and Kevin are at my feet sleeping.
They'll be there.
They'll be there. And yeah, we're looking forward to 2024. It's gonna be a hoot.
It will be a hoot. Thanks, Dougie.
All right. Thanks, Trish. See you next time.